In 1915, Woodrow Wilson was president, San Francisco hosted a World's Fair, and Masanobu Morisuye founded Boy Scout Troop 12, with Yoshizo Sano as its first scoutmaster. On July 18, 2015, at the Hotel Nikko in San Francisco, current and former members of Troop 12 came out to celebrate its 100th anniversary.
Being part of Troop 12 and being part of an organization that's 100 years old is the pride, and the respect for that is unimmeasurable.
Why it's been able to last so long is, I think we look at our sponsors. We're sponsored right now by 3 Christian churches, and all 3 of those churches have been in existence for many, many years, and so there's some continuity there. And it's about the program. It's not about an individual. It's not about an individual sponsor. It's the program that's put forth as the most important element of Troop 12.
It's actually very humbling to think that it was one of the first Boy Scout troops, and I think that I am just extremely grateful of those who had the vision to sort of come together and make sure that the young boys in the community had this opportunity, because as I'm sure you can imagine, you know, prior to World War II, a lot of Japanese Americans probably couldn't join other troops, and so I think that I'm really grateful that somebody had the foresight to do that. And just, you know, being part of the history of a troop that's existed so long, I think just you really appreciate that the many, many leaders who dedicated just hours of their time to make it happen.
During the Boy Scouts' 75th anniversary celebration in 1985, Osaki was presented his Eagle Scout rank by former President Gerald Ford.
He was also an Eagle Scout, so I thought it was very nice that he talked about his experience in the Scouts, and you know at the time, and not that I had any illusions of becoming president, but it made a connection with me, and it sort of let me know that as I grew up, that there were really no boundaries to what I could eventually do.
Troop 12 has also distinguished itself with its Drum and Bugle Corps. In 1992, it was selected to represent the Boy Scouts of America at the National 4th of July Parade. Throughout the decades, the Corps has become a proud fixture in many San Francisco events. Another Troop 12 tradition that began in the 1930s was the wearing of the sailor hat.
And the story goes for this sailor hat is, there was one boy who was at camp and he wore this hat. But boys from another troop, they picked on him for wearing this hat. And so what did the scouts, the other scouts in Troop 12 do? They went into town, they all bought the same hat, and then they all wore it. And it was a show of solidarity and saying, hey, he's one of us. And if you ever pick on him, then you're messing with all of us. And it's just a symbol of our unity for Troop 12 and what we're all about. And whoever has this hat, they have the honor of being part of the Troop 12 family, which spans 100 years.
During its long history, Troop 12's most difficult time came in 1942, when Japanese families were interned during World War II. Instead of disbanding, a group of scout members sent to the Topaz, Utah camp kept the troop alive.
You can say, well, we set the tone. We didn't set the tone. My mothers and fathers set the tone. They set the tone in camp. They set the tone when they were given one day to get out and sell off all their property and pick up their stuff and go to a camp. And yet they still were able to keep the integrity, keep the honor, and keep the fact that they were American citizens and say, we're still Americans. We're Japanese Americans, but we're Americans.
The whole program brought forth not only us boys together, but the families together. And it was the community was a very warm, close-knit community back then.
I think coming out of incarceration, our Nisei and Nisei parents, looked for opportunities for their children, having themselves been deprived of basic rights. They felt they wanted their children to be able to be nurtured in a way that was free of the discrimination that they themselves experienced.
A scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2.
The Boy Scout oath promises duty to God and country, duty to other people, and duty to oneself. Those values have helped shape the lives of generations of Troop 12 members.
Being a Boy Scout, you really learn about service, about supporting the community, about being involved, about using your time and talents to contribute. And I think that very much carried over to my work at JCYC. I also know that because of the amount that I benefited from being a Boy Scout, I wanted other young people to benefit, maybe not from being in the Scouts, but being part of a program where you feel like you belong to something. And I think that's really, at the end of the day, the thing that you get most out of Scouts, is you really feel like you're part of something. And I think for all young people, that's one of the most powerful motivations for, you know, the types of things that they do.
What did I get out of it? Well, I accepted all the kids like part of my family. I come from a big family, and the more the merrier. And they're still my family.
Scouting was probably one of the more important things in my life. It affected me because it gave me the confidence and the ability to know where to go, how to get there. It gave me the background, and it gave me the skill set to be able to motivate myself, as long as to help then be able to motivate and help other people.
I followed some careers, they kept in contact, and they've all taken things that they learned through our program and applied them in real life, because the whole thing is that special leadership, you know, you all of a sudden you become a supervisor or a manager, and you know, you got difficult employees. Well, being a patrol leader, that they have to move up the ranks, you know, that they have to deal with difficult scouts, and you know, those are life skills that you actually learn.
My son has gotten a lot out of it, and he's given back. And that's one of, again, another strength of Troop 12 is there's this mentality of giving back to the troop and your community. And that's, you know, I wish we were more people were of that mindset.
All of the Scouts who were members felt that there was something larger than any individual, larger than themselves. And I think leaders recognize this too. They were making a contribution that you know, was going to be enduring. And I think that came across in many of the comments today, that when we think about, okay, what's going to happen in the next 100 years, the organization's going to evolve. It's hard to predict. But interestingly, things like sports, drum and bugle corps, camping, these remain invariant. So I don't know, it may take a different shape, but I have no doubt, I'm very optimistic for the vitality and vibrancy of this organization. So I feel very good about that.
Troop 12 has seen many changes over the past century, but its traditions and values remain the same. The Boy Scout motto is, "Be prepared." Troop 12 stands ready to begin the next 100 years.
The history of Boy Scout Troop 12 of San Francisco stretches back 100 years. Founded on March 12, 1915, it is one of the oldest Boy Scout troops in the United States, and it started as a dream. Just a teenager, Masanobu Morisue was inspired by the book Scouting for Boys and convinced his Japanese school teacher to sponsor a troop. 8 boys worked together to complete requirements for their tenderfoot rank, gaining their national charter and becoming Troop 12's first patrol. As part of Troop 12's archive, there is this rare film footage of 2 camping trips to the Russian River. in 1939 and 1940. Pre-war Japanese American youth and their families living the American dream. In 1940, members of Troop 12 gathered for a celebration honoring the troop's 25th anniversary. The photo taken here shows just how much that original group of 8 had blossomed into a larger community brought together by the Boy Scouts. Troop 12 was helping the youth prepare for bright futures. What they didn't know is how much things would change in just 1 year, and how much those young people and the bonds of Boy Scout Troop 12 would be tested. In 1942, the camping trips came to an end as Troop 12 members were forced into internment camps. Troop 12 was in danger of disbanding, its members scattered throughout the West. But a group of San Francisco Boy Scouts at the Topaz Camp in Utah came together to continue their Troop 12 traditions. Some older scouts joined the 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Others fought inside the barbed wire to keep the legacy of Troop 12 alive until 1946, when Japanese Americans were set free. After World War II, Troop 12 members were able to regroup through the 1950s with the sponsorship of San Francisco's Japanese Christian churches. Troop 12 has continued its proud traditions and added a renewed focus on outdoor skills and camping. Throughout its history, Troop 12's famous Drum and Bugle Corps has been at the core of the troop's identity. Founded in 1933, Troop 12 Scouts have marched throughout the nation and have been a proud feature in San Francisco parades and celebrations through the decades. Cub Scout Pac-12 has also been a point of pride since it was founded in 1933. And partnering with Associated Girl Scouts units, the Scouts have supported each other and the community with their volunteer projects. Through the decades, members of Troop 12 have been recognized for excellence, with 187 Eagle Scouts in Troop 12's history, one Scout even receiving his award from former President Gerald Ford. Troop 12 also has given its members an opportunity to see the world, with trips to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and crossing the Pacific for journeys to Japan. Each trip is a chance to experience Japanese culture, and the Scouts gain a deeper understanding of history. In Hiroshima, they've brought offerings of peace, strings of golden origami cranes, to the site of the atomic bombing in Hiroshima's Peace Park. Each person who's been a part of Troop 12 during these 100 years has their own memories and thoughts about what their experience has meant. An appreciation of nature, a connection to culture, a love of music, a set of skills hard won. And there are those bonds of friendship and tradition that form the fiber of this Troop 12 that's lasted for 1 century and moves forward into the next 100 years.